Time now for some retro gaming fun. In this video, I'm going to run down my list of the top 10 best Sega Genesis Mega Drive games of all time. Number 10, Lotus Turbo Challenge. The first thing that grabbed me in this game, other than the stunning animations for the time, was the fantastic soundtrack. The aim is to race to the finish line across a course-based trial-like outrun. This was a high-octane arcade racer complete with racetrack obstacles. Car handling was obviously simplistic and easy, but tremendously good fun and required some careful driving and braking when entering sharp corners or overtaking your opponents. Number 9, Altered Beast. Set in ancient Greece, you play as a resurrected centurion brought back to life by Zeus, who wants you to rescue his daughter, Athena. Anita Sarkeesian would no doubt find that deeply misogynistic. Anyway, this is a side-scrolling platform beat-em-up, complete with magics, undead monsters, and of course, the ability for your character to transform into different beasts with their own unique strengths. Two-player mode made this game a hell of a lot easier. This was immensely challenging when played alone. Number 8, NHL Hockey 91. This was a fast-paced and incredibly fun sports title that seems to have been largely overlooked in the console's history. The graphics and sound effects were decent for the time, but it was the frenetic gameplay, fights, attention to detail with respect to the rules, and player physics that really immersed you. I personally couldn't see the appeal of John Madden football, but I sunk a ridiculous amount of time into this game. When you finally hone your skills on the ice and learn how best to score goals, it's immensely satisfying. Number 7, Double Dragon. This side-scrolling beat-em-up was released across a wide variety of platforms, but the Mega Drive edition was one of the stronger editions, both graphically and in terms of game mechanics. You play as either Billy or his twin brother Jimmy, two martial arts experts who fight through the criminal underworld of the Black Warrior gangs to rescue Billy's girlfriend. Again, the damsel trope would be enough to trigger any modern third-wave feminist. That's another reason to love this game. Interestingly enough, the original arcade edition suffered from performance issues which the superior 16-bit Genesis Mega Drive hardware was able to resolve. Number 6, Revenge of Shinobi. Another side-scrolling platformer, this time with a demand for precision controls and well-timed martial arts moves. You play as Joe as you take your revenge on the evil scourge Neo Zed. You make use of ninjutsu moves, somersaults, shuriken throwing stars, and special moves. This game featured 4 difficulty levels, but was tough on almost any mode. If you knew the cheat for infinite shurikens, no one would blame you for using it. Number 5, Robocop Vs The Terminator. After hearing a title like that, is there anything more that needs to be said? I remember the buzz that accompanied this game at the time, and many fans pining for this to be made into a movie. It would have been a much better concept to base a film off of than the recent Terminator Genesis. Anyway, you play as Robocop as you attempt to destroy the Skynet CPU. Amazing gameplay, plenty of gore, and fantastic weapons. This was hard to put down. Number 4, Virtua Racing. No, this isn't a 32X game. I have no idea how they managed to squeeze this level of 3D graphics performance out of a lowly 16-bit console, but they did. Resembling the graphics of the Super Nintendo Star Fox, Virtua Racing was first and foremost an arcade game and more of a proof of concept than anything. It was ported to the Genesis Mega Drive in 1994, and it contained an extra FX chip in the cartridge, making it enormous. As a consequence, the game was insanely expensive at $100 in the US. The graphical detail, track inclines and banking, crashes and spins, and the ability to switch from third-person camera modes or the cockpit make this game an extraordinary technical achievement for a humble Sega Genesis. Number 3, Phantasy Star IV. Described as a role-playing game with turn-based combat and interaction and communication with non-playable characters, this is largely considered the very best RPG for the Genesis Mega Drive console. The player improves their combat statistics through experience levels and additional magic spell techniques. The story is involving and deep, with interesting characters and beautifully designed locations. Taking place 1000 years after Phantasy Star II, you play as Chaz and battle against various nefarious monsters on a dying world. There's actually a pretty complicated plot here, and a conspiracy concerning the Algol star system, so I won't spoil it for you. Graphically, it may be dated, but from a gameplay point of view, it's as good as ever. Number 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. If I can only include one Sonic game on this list, then it's Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Sonic 1 and 2 were classics, but Sonic 3 took things further, both in terms of graphics, size, and scope of the game, and overall gameplay. Sonic and Knuckles was the second part of Sonic 3, and when you combine the cartridges together, you got one insanely large and spectacular Sonic Mega game. This was the pinnacle of the Sonic franchise, and in many people's opinion, after reaching this zenith, it was downhill thereafter for the spiky blue-haired hedgehog. Finally, number 1, Mortal Kombat 3. The original Mortal Kombat obviously began it all, but number 3 refined things further and gave us more fast-paced violence and yet more real human sprite characters. It introduced faster combo moves, chain combos, a mercy feature, and environments with upper and lower levels. I've always preferred the MK series over the more cartoonish Street Fighter franchise. I found Mortal Kombat games to be more fun, darker, and adult, but not taking themselves too seriously. Nightwolf wins. So that was my list of what I believe to be the 10 best Sega Genesis Mega Drive games of all time. Let me know what games you believe that should have made this list in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.